I've spent thousands of hours working in Excel and I still occasionally discover features that make me think I wish I had known that sooner. These range from summing across tabs with 3D references all the way to simplifying formulas using curly brackets. So in this video, I put together 10 of the best ones. Let's get into it. Starting with 3D references, suppose in this table over here, we want to find out the sum of product revenue, which is in cell B3 for Spain, so ES, for France, and for Germany. So we want to get this value right here and the sum of them for each of the three sheets. So you might think of just doing an equal sign, selecting the first one, plus the second, plus the third, and then just hitting enter. The problem with this method is that if you were to add a new tab within this part, so let's suppose I duplicate this France one with Control drag, and then I go back to a 3D reference, obviously it's not going to account for that extra France one. We would need to add it in here manually one more time. Instead, that's why we use what are known as 3D references. So all I need to do here is take the sum, and as the first number, we just want to put the name of the first tab, which is just ES. Then we'll put a colon in here, and take the very last tab. So in our case, it's DE, and we'll add an exclamation mark at the very end. And we're just looking for cell B3. So we're just gonna put B3 here at the very end and hit enter. You'll notice this figure is slightly different, and that's because this one does actually account for all of the cells inside of these two. So that FR2 is being accounted for. If I delete this, you'll notice that it's changed the figures in here. And if I go ahead and duplicate the Spain one this time, you'll notice that the value does differ once again. How awesome is that? And now moving on to the second scenario where we have the double dash feature. Over here you can see we have these figures with the actuals and the budget, and we want to find out how many months we beat the budget. So if we beat it 1 month, then it should just say 1 or 2, etc. So you might think of using the count if for this, and the problem here is that even if you select the actual, let's say as the current range, or these two as the range, and the criteria that the actual be greater than the budget, you'll notice that this doesn't quite work and we just have zeros everywhere. That's because the COUNTIF doesn't work for an entire range, so that's not quite the right formula to use. Instead, you might think of using sum product. So let's go ahead and add that. And here the idea is that the actual figures be greater than the budgeted figures, and let's close that out and see what happens. We still get a 0, but now we just need to add the double dash in here. So I'm gonna add another parentheses, just add literally 2 dashes and close it out on the other side and hit enter. And all of a sudden we have a count of 12. What's happened there is that up till now we just had a true or false. So whenever it's greater, it would be true or false, right? That's exactly what we get over here when we hover over it. But now with these double dashes, what we do is switch it from true false to 0 or 1. So whenever it's a 1, it's being added as part of that sum. That's why originally without that double dash, we were just getting zeros because true or false are not actual numbers. So now we've got a total of 12. And because we're using sum product here, we can also add more than just this one criteria. So within this formula again, I can press the comma key and choose with a double dash again that let's say the region be the West region. So I'm gonna put a parentheses and this region over here has to be equals to West. I'm gonna put that in quotations because it's text, and then simply close that out. So when it's in the West region, we beat the budgeted amounts in 3 months. Moving up to number 3 where we have millions format, let me show you what that means. Over here we have this figure with a very large revenue amount. So I think that's about 500 million. And if you wanted to convert that to just be in millions, you might think of simply dividing that by 1 million. So that's one way to go about it. The thing is, when you do it like this, you've actually changed the number itself. So it's no longer actually 500 million. Instead, it's just 586, which isn't ideal. So instead, what you want to do is select that whole area and just press Ctrl 1. Here, you can go over to the custom area on the very bottom. This is the format cells dialog box. And here at the very end, you just need to add a comma. And you'll notice there as the sample, when we add that comma, we just made it into thousands. And we add a second comma, and that's now in millions, it's just 586. Hit enter there, and here you have it converted to millions. The only thing is we can't tell it's in millions. It's not like we have an M at the very end. So let's press Ctrl 1 again and just add this backdash and then press the M. Now you can see I have it 586 million, but actually when I hover over the cell, If I look up top, I have the full number unlike before. If you've ever left a meeting where someone asked for 5 different changes to your Excel file and 20 minutes later you're trying to remember exactly what they said, Granola's built exactly for that. It's an AI notepad that runs quietly in the background without adding an awkward bot in the meeting. For example, after a recent call, I could ask, what were the exact column headers they wanted me to add? And Granola pulls the answers straight from the conversation. I could also ask it to list every change, turn it into an action item, and also write a follow-up email. These features are especially useful with detailed feedback where just missing one thing might mean you need to redo your work from scratch. Granola works seamlessly with Microsoft. You can sign in to your Microsoft account, sync your Outlook calendar, and open it directly from the reminder before your Teams call. It also works with Zoom, Google Meets, and even in-person meetings. Try Granola in your next Teams meeting using the link in the description below, and you'll get 1 month for free. And thanks to Granola for sponsoring this video. In number 4, we have the aggregate formula, which is very underrated in my opinion. Over here, you'll notice that we have a data set with the average prices over to the side. So here, suppose that we want to find out for all of our products, what's the average price that we sell them for? So I can put the average function in here and select all of these to try to find that, but we actually get an error. And that's because some of these cells have a divided by 0 error, which makes sense. After all, it could be possible that we have a product in the warehouse, but it doesn't have any revenue or units sold just yet. Hence why the average price is 0. So we want to find a way to bypass that, and that's with the aggregate function. Hit the tab key here. We're looking for the average, so we're gonna put a 1, comma, and then as the options, I know this looks a bit overwhelming, but all we need to do is choose number 6, which is to ignore the error values, and then the array is what we're looking for, so it's gonna be this whole area. Close up parenthesis and hit enter. It's really that simple to find the average price with the aggregate function. And now if we go back in here, instead of the average, what if we wanted to find out what's the max price? Well, it's as simple as changing that to a number 4, and you'll notice just how many options there are, a total of 19. So I'll put a 4 in here, and we can see that we don't really price our items too highly at $53 for the highest one. Next up, in number 5, if you often do calculations, then I'd suggest you learn more about named formulas. Let me show you what I mean by that. Over here, you can see that I have the growth rate, and that's a very common calculation to make. So let's actually convert this into a formula. What we need to do is first delete this whole part, and right here, I'm gonna go over to the formulas tab, and under the name manager here, we're gonna create a new one. Now we can call this something like the growth rate. And down over here, as the refers to part, is where we need to select this year's divided by the previous year's minus 1. So that's the formula for it. Hit enter there, press on OK. And we just want to adjust it so we don't have those dollar signs so that it's actually dynamic. So delete the dollar signs from the D3 part and also from this part right here. This way we're going to be able to use that formula across different cells too. So we want to save those changes. And now I can just type equals growth. So it's that growth rate and press enter. You can see it's calculated the first one. I can double click and it calculates all of them going down as well. The idea is that if you're in the cell next to them, so right here, if I type growth rate again, it's basically gonna select 2 cells to the side, which is how you would most often do the growth rate anyways. Now moving up to the last ones, and over here we've got curly brackets. Let me show you what they're for. So let's suppose that we're trying to see if money moved. So by that we mean that if it was paid, refunded, or charged back, then it should say true over here, depending on that status that we've got to the side. So you might think of just using multiple if statements for this for each of the options, but actually there's a much simpler way. It's simply by typing or, and then we'll select this cell. If that's equals to here in these curly brackets, that's where they come handy. We can choose the 3 options, which are 1, it be refunded, comma, the second one is it's paid, and then the last one is the chargeback. So let me actually add that in quotations as well. Close those quotations, and then at the very end, we just need to close the parentheses as well and hit enter. So paid, yes, the money moved here as it's one of the 3 options, and I can double click here all the way to the bottom. Pending means the money hasn't moved, hence why it's false. And really with these curly brackets, you can add as many options as you want, and it's a great way to make a formula more versatile and simple. So far, we've learned about named formulas and curly brackets, so let's try to combine these two with cell names. So let's suppose that we have this due date that we're going to be referencing over and over again, so maybe we just want to name this. We would do that over here to the side, and let's call this the due_date. Hit enter there, and so that's a due date for us to deliver a product, and then maybe 7 days after, or 14 or 30, is when we would actually get paid. So all we need to do now is take that due date and then simply plus in curly brackets, we can say plus 7 days or plus 14 or plus 30 and hit enter. That's basically going to calculate those dates going forward because of those curly brackets. And in this scenario, of course, that due date might not be that useful, but the nice thing is that now you already have it here for reference. So whenever you need it, you simply need to type it in and it's gonna give you that date. Next up, we've got the dot operator, which is one of my personal favorite ones. Let's have a look over here with the profit. And suppose we're trying to calculate it, so we need to simply take all of the revenue figures and subtract all of the costs. That said, I want to be able to account for any future values, so I'm going to drag this down a bit further down, all the way to this lower part. I hit enter there, and so this way, whenever there's a new value, that gets accounted for as well. The only thing is we've got these ugly zeros which aren't ideal, so how can we get rid of them? Well, now we have the dot operator, so all I need to do is press a dot here at the end, same thing over on this side, and just hit enter. It's really that simple. I have no zeros, and now even if I add something else on the bottom, you'll notice that it still accounts for it nice and elegantly. To show you a more advanced version of this, over here you can see I have the Q1 revenue and the Q2 revenue that I want to add together into this bigger table. So all I need to do is use vstack, which is a newer Excel formula, select the first part, and I'm gonna select a few more here just in case, and then select that second part as well. Close that parenthesis and hit enter. It really doesn't look good though because of all those zeros on the bottom. So again, all we need to do is add that dot on both sides and it makes it nice and clean for us. And even if I add new data in here, that gets accounted for as well. Moving up to the last two, and over here we have one of the more underrated ones, which is using arrows in Excel. And I'm not talking about the keyboard arrows. Let me show you what I'm actually referring to over here. So for the growth rate, it's kind of hard to tell what's a negative and what's a positive here. So maybe we want to change it to a red color and also add some kind of a down arrow. To do that, you can press Ctrl 1. Even if we head over to custom, you'll notice that it's actually not in any of these options. So I find that the easiest way is simply to copy paste it, and I'll have it here in this Excel file if you download it below the video. But basically it's this one right here, and I'm just gonna press on OK. So right now I have it formatted for this cell, which is not quite what we want. So I'm gonna format it for these ones instead. And because I've used it once, it then gets saved over to the bottom so I can reference it in the future. This is what it looks like. I personally don't like the green one so much, and it's not like I can change it to a lighter green or anything. I prefer to just delete the green part, and I have it like this instead. So when it's red, it's very bad, obviously, and then when it's black, it's just neutral. Another option for it would be to use conditional formatting, but I don't find it to look as professional when we go over to the different icon sets. And then finally, in number 10, we've got the navigation feature. Let me show you what I'm referring to over here. So you'll notice that I have a lot of different tabs, so it's kind of hard to go through each one. I don't know what comes after or what comes before necessarily. So that's where this comes handy. All you need to do is go over to view and click on navigation. This is basically a table of contents that you have on the side. So I can click on any part and it takes me directly there. Even better, I can right click and rename it from here directly, or even search up top. So I find it's an easier way to navigate than by using these tabs on the bottom, or we can't see much. One trick I didn't show you here is how to split your Excel tabs into multiple separate Excel files. If you want to learn how to do that, you should watch this video over here, or you can check out our Excel course over here. Hit that like and that subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.